Welcome to today's explainer. Let's just dive right into it, shall we? Today we're tackling a totally universal struggle. You know the feeling. You sit down to write a self-reflective journal entry and you are literally paralyzed by the sight of that blank page. You've got the best intentions, right? You know journaling is an absolute game changer for personal growth, but the words just won't come. Well, today we are exploring a highly effective technique from the book 12 Steps to a Good Life by Thomas Alethea, and it completely solves this problem. It's called Springboard Journaling.
So think about it. Why is the blank page so intimidating? Honestly, it's helpful to picture your attempt to journal as a mini hero's journey. In any great myth, the hero has to cross this scary threshold to actually begin their adventure. And for us, that blank piece of paper, or that mocking, blinking cursor on a screen, that acts as our terrifying, paralyzing threshold. You're stepping way outside your comfort zone and plunging into the totally unknown territory of your own mind. When you're just staring at nothing, you're forced to somehow conjure profound thoughts out of thin air. And man, that pressure alone is often enough to make you just slam the notebook shut and walk away.
And that brings us to the core difference we're looking at today. See, the blank page creates massive anxiety, specifically because it relies entirely on your own internal motivation. It demands spontaneous creativity. A springboard, on the other hand, provides immediate focus. Instead of demanding that you generate some brilliant original thought entirely from scratch, it uses a piece of external wisdom to gently guide your thoughts. It literally just gives you something to react to.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the blank page problem. Then we'll enter the world of springboard journaling, figure out finding your prompts, break down the radar framework, and finally, look at avoiding pitfalls.
All right, Section 1, the blank page problem.
So we really need to understand why sitting down to self-reflect so often leads to writer's block. It isn't just a lack of creativity, folks. It's actually a stalling of our personal growth. When we get stuck in our own heads, we prevent ourselves from taking that necessary, deeply honest inventory of our lives. Author Thomas Alethea frames this whole block as the perennial struggle. Now, what is that? It's basically the lifelong inner conflict between who we currently are and who we really deeply want to be. When you sit down to journal, you are confronting that struggle head-on. It's heavy, it's difficult, and honestly, it is completely valid that you feel friction when you're trying to start this habit. But, as Alethea points out, this struggle isn't a flaw. It actually is your path. The blank page is just the place where that struggle becomes visible to you.
Moving right along to Section 2, enter Springboard Journaling.
Okay, so how do we actually bypass this friction? Well, we use a very specific, actionable solution drawn straight from the practices in 12 Steps to a Good Life. Springboard journaling uses a single statement, a question, or maybe a quote as an immediate external prompt. And that is literally it. You don't start with a blank page. You start by writing down a springboard. This completely, and I mean completely, removes the pressure of coming up with original thoughts on the spot. Statements guide your thoughts, questions prompt exploration, and quotes invite really deep reflection. You literally just read the prompt and write your reaction. So simple, right?
Which brings us to Section 3, finding your prompts.
Now you're probably wondering, where do we actually get these magical prompts? Well, the source material features this massive wisdom section, which is just packed with timeless texts, daily readings called Leaves of Life, and some truly profound philosophical quotes. For instance, take this quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. He says, "Select and collect all the words and sentences that in all your readings have been to you like the blast of a trumpet." Now, this quote itself is a perfect springboard. You could just write this right at the top of your page and then journal about what specific ideas or goals are currently acting like a trumpet blast in your own life, waking you up and calling you to action.
Here's another absolutely brilliant springboard, this time from Joseph Campbell, and he's talking about the source of our problems. Listen, if you're having one of those terrible days where you just feel like everyone is out to get you, starting your journal entry with this exact sentence can instantly pivot your entire mindset. Instead of just spiraling and venting about all your external complaints, this springboard forces you to pause and reflect deeply on how your own worldview or your own actions might actually be contributing to the situation. It's a total game changer. And get this, even ancient texts can serve as incredibly powerful starting points. Take this one. This is an actual invocation written by the philosopher Boethius, and he wrote this from a prison cell while awaiting execution way back in the 6th century. If you use something like this as a springboard, it grounds your daily reflection in this profound sense of perspective. It prompts you to ask yourself, okay, what is the fount of good in my life today? It instantly elevates your journaling from those everyday, mundane complaints to a much higher, honestly more spiritual level of inquiry.
Let's jump into Section 4, the radar framework.
Okay, so picture this. You've got your springboard written right at the top of your page. Now what? Well, you need a concrete step-by-step method to structure your entry and sort of break down the total chaos of your thoughts. Enter radar. It stands for reflect, describe, and respond. Step 1 is reflect. Right after reading your springboard, you just pause, you observe your current physical and emotional state without trying to fix it, and importantly, without judging it. Step 2 is describe. You write down what you just discovered using very specific neutral language. So instead of writing something dramatic like, "I'm a total failure," you'd write, "I am feeling overwhelmed by this quote because I fear I'm not living up to my potential." See the difference? And then step 3 is respond. What action are you going to take based on this new realization? You want to aim for a response that aligns with your core values. This framework perfectly translates the abstract inspiration of a quote into a highly structured, totally actionable journal entry.
And finally, Section 5, avoiding pitfalls.
As amazingly powerful as this tool is, the book does set up some very clear guardrails to make sure this new habit stays healthy and productive for you. First up, privacy. Your journal absolutely must be secure. Look, if you can't be 100% honest because you're terrified someone's going to read it, the whole process just falls apart. So password protect it, lock it up in a drawer, whatever you got to do. Second is overthinking. Don't let journaling replace actual living. You got to stay present. Third, negative spirals. If you're going through a major crisis, journaling can sometimes just pull you deeper into the darkness. It's okay to step back if it's hurting more than it's helping. Fourth is getting lost. The book actually mentions this guy named Robert Shields who documented his life in 5-minute intervals. Do you know he ended up writing 37 million words? Yeah, don't do that. Go live your life. And finally, passive-aggressive journaling. Please don't just use your springboard to endlessly vent about people without ever taking real action to resolve the conflict. Remember, your journal should always be solution-oriented.
Well, that brings us to the end of our explainer today, and actually to your very first springboard prompt. I really want to leave you with this exact question. What is the very first step you can take today outside your comfort zone? Seriously, don't overthink it. Just grab a piece of paper, write this question right at the top, and let your mind go to work using that radar framework we talked about. Bypass that intimidating blank page and start your journey today.